Biafra had a military industrial complex. They had no money. They were fighting Nigeria at the time from 67 to 1970. They made their bombs, they made their propelled grenade, they had their tanks, they had, what's that again? Ogunige. Now, they had all of that. When the war ended, this was dismantled. I was a kid, I went to the vice president of Nigeria, Vice Admiral. I said, why did you disband the military industrial complex of Biafra? We could have been integrated into Nigeria, and by now we could have had the nuclear bomb. And he said to me, the reason was they felt Biafra would rise again. And so as a child, I went to Uli Airstrip, and I saw Uli Airstrip had every 10 meters they dug a hole because they did not want the planes to land in Uli. And I saw the governor the other day, and he said till today they cannot surface that road properly because of the damage caused by Nigerian forces, because they felt Biafra would rise one day. We are the cause of our problems. We had, no, you won't. We are the cause of our problem. Biafra had a military industrial complex, and it was developed out of necessity. If you look at nations of the world, and nations that have a powerful military industrial complex, most of these nations developed their military out of necessity. Israel, after the state was set up after the Second World War in 1947, I think, they felt encircled by the Arabs, and they felt they needed a military industrial complex to survive as a nation. South Africa, they felt encircled, and they needed to fight and protect the white minority government in South Africa. So they had to develop a military industrial complex. Rich people like us who enjoy buying weapons abroad do not feel the need to spend money on research and development on a military, but we pay the ultimate price. We pay the ultimate price. You won't pay attention. Biafra will rise again. We pay the ultimate price. We must spend money on research and development. The brightest, smartest engineers, professors, folks in Nigeria live abroad developing weapons for other nations of the world. The technology exists. It is not rocket science. The scientists who are Nigerians exist. To put this together is not very expensive. There is no need for Nigeria. There is no need for Nigeria to buy bullets. We can make bullets. There is no need for Nigeria to buy AK-47. We can make it. There is no need for Nigeria to buy grenades. We can make it. There is no need for Nigeria to buy drones. We can make it. There is no need for Nigeria to import cars. We can make it. The military industrial complex, well funded, developed by Nigerians for Nigerians, will guarantee we will fight the war against these insurgents for next to nothing, because it will provide jobs. We have the technological base, it already exists. We could export our equipment.
A lot of Nigerians may not understand the in-depthness of this speech made by Senator Ben Bruce. I mean, Nigeria had the golden opportunity after the Civil War. That is the Biafran military industrial complex, which was built, just like the man stated, out of necessity. In just 3 years, Biafra produced its own weapons, armored vehicles, and rockets under siege. Instead of embracing that genius, Nigeria destroyed it. And decades later, the nation is still importing everything, every single thing, including bullets. In this video, we'll explore what went wrong, what Senator Ben Bruce had to say about this very missed opportunity, and how other countries like Israel, South Africa, Pakistan, and Iran turned necessity into driving defense industry, just like what played out during the Civil War. And once again, this is about perspectives, your domain for your political analysis and unfiltered news. Before we go deep dive on this very important topic, do me well to share this video, like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you would always get notified. Heading up, when a lot of Nigerians may not understand this man, imagine this for a moment. A nation that fought a 3-year civil war, sustained not by foreign support, but by the creativity and the resilience of its own people. A people who built an entire military industrial complex from scratch under bombs, blockades, and starvation. That was Biafra between 1967 and 1970. What a genius. Now, here's the irony. Instead of Nigeria preserving and expanding that innovation after the war, the Biafran military industrial complex was destroyed completely. And today, Nigeria still struggles to manufacture its own weapons. That is, if they are manufacturing at all. The question is, why did Nigeria kill its own greatest chance at military independence? Let's dive deep into this. The Biafran military industrial complex was one of the most remarkable, feats of African ingenuity. Cut off from the world under a tight blockade, Biafrans had no choice but to build, invent, and they did it. They produced armored tank, armored cars, grenades, machine guns, rockets, even, refitted aircraft. And they did this not in peacetime laboratories, but in makeshift workshops with limited resources during a war for survival. Nigeria, on the other hand, fought that war with the help of foreign mercenaries. Weapons from Britain, you talk about Russia and other places. Yet, when the war ended in 1970, rather than reintegrating these brilliant industrial bases into Nigerian state, the federal government saw it as a threat and a symbol of rebellion. So it was dismantled, abandoned, and erased completely. And to me, whoever advised Nigerian leaders at that time failed to see the bigger picture. Instead of building a world-class defense industry out of necessity driving innovation, Nigeria became fully dependent on foreign powers for weapons, and that mistake still haunts us till today. Now, reference to history. Around the world, countries that have faced existential threats turn wartime necessity into long-term military industries. For example, you talk about Israel, out of necessity, built its own defense industry during constant wars, now one of the world's biggest and largest arms exporters. You talk about South Africa, during that apartheid and sanctions, developed Dinel and became self-sufficient in weapons production. You talk about Pakistan, built its own defense industry after repeated wars with India, and today manufacture tanks, jets, and small arms. You talk about Iran, under sanction, developed indigenous drones, missiles, and weapons that rival global powers. And in Nigeria, instead of building on Biafran's ingenuity, it destroyed it. 50 years later, we are still importing rifles, even bullets, begging other nations for arms while fighting Boko Haram and bandits. So what does this teach us? Well, it is nice that Senator Ben Bruce is actually striking this observation. I mean, instead of destroying the Biafran military industrial complex after the Civil War, Nigeria should have invested in it. Think about that for a second. More than 50 years later, Nigeria still imports almost every single weapon it uses: rifles, bullets, armored vehicles, and all from foreign powers. And when someone inside Nigeria shows brilliance in weapons technology, rather than being embraced, they would always brand such person a threat. Isn't that so barbaric in 21st century? We need to also remember that during the Biafra War, under blockade and total isolation, engineers and ordinary people worked day and night to create weapons that sustained them for 3 years. We are not saying 1 year, we are not saying 1 month, for a good 3 years. From armored tanks, from armored cars, nicknamed Red Devils, to locally produced grenades. Are you going to talk about the bomber Ogbunigwe, rockets, and even, refitted aircraft? These were all produced in Biafran industrial complex. The Biafran showed what Nigerian ingenuity could achieve under pressure. But when the war ended, instead of harnessing this innovation, the federal government dismantled and buried it. The genius of Biafran engineers was erased from the national memory. Nigeria went back to dependency on buying from Britain, Russia, China, America, and so rest of them. And here is the bitter truth. No great nation survives by begging others for weapons. Nations survive and thrive by investing in their own people, in their own innovation. And instead of silencing geniuses in Nigeria, Nigeria should be nurturing them. Because in the 21st century, a country that stops its own inventors also stops its own future. So what do you think? Should Nigeria revive its defense industry and empower local inventors, or will it keep repeating the same mistake of the past? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel, because in the next video, we will go even deeper into how Africa can turn necessity into innovation and build industries that last, just like that of Biafra. So thank you for watching.